This has been a huge week for the tax system and for the government, with the introduction of one of the most controversial taxes in Australia's history. The carbon tax is only grudgingly being accepted by the business community, which would prefer it didn't exist. Well, a man at the centre of arguing the case is Assistant Treasurer David Bradbury, and I spoke with him earlier this evening. David Bradbury, welcome to the program.
Good evening, Andrew. Good to be with you.
Small business feels that it's been shortchanged by the government over the carbon tax, in that households are being compensated, big polluters are getting big compensation, but small business feels that it's getting nothing. What do you say to small business?
Well, look, we've always taken the view, and I should firstly say that a very large proportion of small businesses in this country are not incorporated. They are sole traders and partnerships. Now, for those small business people, they will benefit every bit as much as every other taxpayer when it comes to the massive tax cuts that are being delivered, when it comes to personal income tax cuts. So let's just have a look at what that means. There are 7 million working Australians, of which many of them will be small businesses, that will get a tax cut. It'll start to flow through the 1st of July, so people will see that in their taxation arrangements and their pay packets from here on. 6 million of those workers will get a tax cut of $300 or more for the year. So those small businesses that are not incorporated will certainly get the benefit of the tax cuts. Those that are incorporated...
Whether you're incorporated or not, you're going to see your energy costs go up, you're going to see your input costs go up, and you may not have the market power to raise prices because you're a small player. So you're going to be worse off, aren't you?
For many businesses, they won't be feeling significant increases. And can I make the point about energy costs? COSBOA have provided information that would suggest that for the average small business, the average small retail business, energy costs as a proportion of total expenditure for that business is somewhere in the order of about 2%.
Well, the Australian
Chamber... is true.
The Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, though, believes that small business profits will be cut by about 10 to 20% because of the carbon tax. And if that comes true, that's a lot of votes, isn't it?
Well, can I tell you that today two suppliers of solar panels were pulled up by the ACCC, and they've provided voluntary undertakings because they were found to have provided information that the ACCC believed was misleading customers. And the information they were providing was suggesting that power prices would go up by 20%. Now, can I point out to you that the reason those businesses had indicated that the increase was to be 20% was because they relied upon a newspaper advertisement that was put together by a peak body, an organisation of which ACCI happens to be a member. This was the Trade and Industry Alliance, the Australian Trade and Industry Alliance, who put out a political advertisement, that's what it was, saying that prices would go up by 20% electricity as a result of the carbon price. Now, these two businesses out there have relied upon the information that was put in that advertisement, and as a consequence of that, they've now found themselves on the wrong side of the law. So, look, there is a lot being said, a lot of claims that are being made out there in the political debate. But people have to be very careful, particularly those that are engaging in trade and commerce, business people. They have to be careful to try and put all of the political rhetoric to one side, and there's a lot of that, a lot of misleading claims being made. Mr Abbott's been making many of them. They've got to put all of that to one side. But frankly, the sorts of claims that we're seeing being made by some of the vested interests and Mr Abbott, they're actually confusing business people and potentially making it more likely that businesses like the two that got into trouble that were announced by the ACCC today, that will end up falling on the wrong side of the law.
Well, just on that, you mentioned the ACCC. The ACCC is warning business to be careful if they do put their prices up, because the ACCC is watching and may prosecute them. But the government is saying to business, well, pass on increased costs. Isn't that a mixed message?
Let me be really clear about this. The first point is that if your costs are going up as a result of the carbon price, then there's nothing unfair, unreasonable, unjust about you increasing your prices to a commensurate level that reflects the increase in your costs. But where there is a problem is if you mislead your consumers. If you come out and you jack your prices up, and the increase in those prices has nothing to do with the carbon price, and you're out there telling customers that you've only increased your prices because of the carbon price. Now, that's a rip-off. It's a rip-off in any man's language, and it actually doesn't matter whether it relates to the carbon price or any other matter. And the message to business out there in our community is we understand that this can be confusing, but be very careful about the representations you make.
All right, David Bradbury, thank you very much for your time. We have to leave it there.
Good to be with you, Andrew.